Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Chad T. Jenkins on the line. He's founder and CEO over at SeedSpark. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hi, Adam. Great to be with you.
Man, I like this topic today. So collaboration currency, unlocking exponential growth through vision, capability, and reach. And we're going to also learn about, I want to learn about collaboration currency. So we'll get into all of that, of course, and more. But before we do, let's go back in time here. So I see the term, founder. So you're an entrepreneur. Where did that begin for you?
You talk about back in time. We just got in a time machine. It started around 8 years old. I understood and began to learn leverage on how I could recombine what already existed to create values that others would pay me for. I grew up on a farm in South Carolina, and I felt like I should have been born in the middle of it.
What was the 8-year-old product, though?
Yeah, that's a great question. At 8 years old, I grew up around horses. So I would go to horse sales quite often in a week, sometimes 2 or 3 with my father. It didn't take me very long to understand that the people that wanted to buy the horses who were standing in the stands or sitting in the stands, and the people that wanted to sell the horses, they could be greatly influenced if a little 8-year-old kid would be riding the horse. The folks who wanted to buy one thought that they could ride it too, and the folks who wanted to sell it were quite surprised that an 8-year-old could make their horse look like anybody could ride it, and they would pay me $10 or $20 for that service.
Stop. That's great. You put together. How did you put that together? How did you put together that first deal? I know you remember. How did you put it together? You old horse trader.
That's interesting. It's all value creation. Because in growing up on that farm, I felt like there's no way I'll ever get out of here. I got to figure this out. And it was a pretty big burden. So I just began to look at patterns and also at what people wanted and how I could help them get what they wanted. What I continuously found is all I was really doing is combining or recombining what already existed. And so I've done that a bunch of times since that particular time, and it created quite a few many companies.
Man, that's so interesting. And that's fun. I like it. So how many other 8-year-olds are out there just riding? You're like, there's a payment around here. I'm marketing. You probably didn't get those words yet, but you're a little young, but maybe. I don't know. So let's fast forward a bit before we go further in the conversation. Obviously, we want to get into collaboration currency and a bunch more, but maybe tell us a little bit about SeedSpark, your current company.
Yeah, so SeedSpark was born out of the same methodology. At the time, this is back in 2005, the BlackBerry was starting to catch mainstream. A lot of us probably had BlackBerry they're listening. I recognized the friction. Yeah, so I had a big wireless company because I'd really figured out that people's wireless bill was always messed up, and you could combine the new rate plans that the carriers were coming out with the usage patterns of all the people that were on a corporate account and save millions upon millions of dollars.
Wow.
So when BlackBerry became something, a friction, which I've written a little book about friction fuel, a friction was no one knew how to use a BlackBerry. I know it sounds so crazy today, but to type on a phone and get your email and your calendar was very fashion forward. So at that time, I created BlackBerry U, which is BlackBerry University. I opened the first BlackBerry store in the world, and I launched SeedSpark. Because I launched SeedSpark, it was driven out of the understanding that these BlackBerries had a mobile browser on it. And I could leverage the mobile browser and have some guys who I hired to build me an app for my wireless company, build apps for those who bought phones from me. So originally, SeedSpark was an app development company 3 years before the iPhone was even launched.
Man,
so it's created hundreds and hundreds of apps. No, man. Yeah, it's way back.
Yeah, you took me back in time. I remember that BlackBerry that had like the full keyboard and like the little green screen on it. I had that one. I remember that. I was like, whoa, that was like a spaceship back then.
Way back then, yeah. So at the heart of SeedSpark was always growth. With 50-plus companies started and sold a bunch of them. I still have quite a few regular operating companies. It took me that many years, about 25, to figure out the reason I started all those companies is because I'm addicted to value creation. And I see ways to, back at 8 years old, combine what already exists, typically driven by friction. Like something could be better. And I'm sure everybody listening has been in a restaurant where their tea glass went dry and they watched the staff going left to right, but my tea glass is still dry. And they come up with a better idea of how their tea glass would have never been dry. I just put it in action, right? So it's all pattern recognition and recombining what exists to create more value. So after 25 years in all those companies, I decided for the rest of the time, I'm only going to create collaborations. because I can go at warp speed versus creating companies. And that's where SeedSpark has evolved to, hence the collab as well.
So talk about the collaboration factor here and how this plays into it. I don't want to assume anything. Like, how does this speed things up for you?
So I'll tell you, when I was in that wireless business, I literally almost went, you could say, door to door to businesses, because at the time it was Nextel telephones. And for most people that remember that from the Stone Ages, there are a lot of contractors that had Nextel telephones.
Oh, yeah.
So I would meet sometimes many of the same ones in the same industry in a day. And I just pick up on their patterns. And I say, well, if those guys would actually leave the yard at 6:30, not 7, it would save, and the math, $542,000 a year. So I would share that with the landscaper who I was servicing and delivering them phones. And that started getting their attention. Well, I do the same thing today. What does that mean? I realized every human, and furthermore, every entrepreneur has more ways to create value than they have resources or they have vision to do so. So I help entrepreneurs uncover how to take what they already have to create more than they ever could want. And we do that by combining what they have with what another entrepreneur has. And I help them understand how to share the outcome, or I have a trademark phrase, split the outcome out of the emergent that is created when you combine what you have with what somebody else already has. And it is about as simple as that. So in the SeedSpark collab.
Can you give an example of that? Can you give an example of like how one of these have worked out, these collabs?
Yeah, sure enough. I have a wonderful collaboration for two gentlemen. One entrepreneur is from St. John's, way out on the east coast of Canada, and the other gentleman is in Ohio. One gentleman is excellent at AI from a human-first approach, helping you know how to start with AI. The gentleman inside of St. John's is very technically savvy, but more in marketing, in infrastructure, in website, and SEO, and content. So if you just connect the two guys together, even though the gentleman in St. John is very technology-centric, he's more old school and he's more marketing. Where the gentleman in Ohio is very technology-savvy. He owns a managed service provider, but he's more AI and more human-based approach. So if you put the two together, even though on paper it would look like they're competitors, but if you put them together, the uniqueness of the gentleman in Ohio combined with the uniqueness of the gentleman in St. John's has created about $3 million in the first year of helping entrepreneurs understand how to approach and engage with AI. If anybody like to confirm, they could go to ai-simplifier.com and you'll see exactly a collaboration in motion that has created multiple millions in less than 12 months. And I will share with you, the gentlemen were doing the same thing the day before we combined them as they are today. They were just doing it separate. There's magic in combining.
Talk to me about this concept of utilizing your existing network. How does that play into it? Or how did these two, and you could build on the same, if you like, the same case study, like how these two met, how this kind of transpired, or if you want to take it another direction, up to you. But I'm just curious about that concept of some people will listen to what you just said and be like, well, I don't know who to collaborate with, or that sounds great, but you know what I mean? Like, take it a little bit further.
Yeah, I do. So there's one thing that you take away from the call, it's that we have to be a go-giver, not a go-getter. 8 years old, when a kid is making enough money to buy his first piece of real estate at 11, everybody would consider that person a go-getter. And I can tell you, as you get older, it's not about what you go get, it's about what you have to go give. It's a mindset shift. So in thinking about that, it's really hard to figure out what you already have, because everyone who's listening to this goes to market as some SIC code. I'm a plumber, I'm a landscaper, I'm a lawyer, I'm a CPA. I'm like, yeah, but tell me more. Because when I meet people, I see them as an exploded parts view. Like we just bought something from IKEA, and one of us is about to try to put it together. Probably not me. So when I meet that plumber may have 100 trucks. And if you do just a little bit more research on that plumber, those trucks are servicing $1 million houses and above. Well, everywhere those trucks are sitting, and by the way, they sit, this is the actual occurrence, they sit in front of those neighborhood houses for 2 hours on an average of every stop. 2 hours. To me, those 100 trucks are a mobile billboard network, because the mosquito control guy would absolutely love to put something on the back left door of every one of those vans with a QR code, and perhaps somebody shopped it because they're in a neighborhood where they need mosquito control. There's a 2-hour billboard sitting on the way to my house. So when I go pick up the kids and come back, there it is. When I go run out to the store and come back, there it is. Before too long, how long do you think it's going to take me to shoot that mosquito control QR code? Well, see, whenever you put those two companies together, the plumber is picking up 10% of the retail value of that mosquito control application. Now, why is the mosquito control guy very, very excited to pay him that 10%? It's because his cost of acquisition, doing it just like the other mosquito control companies in the same city, is 14.6%. So if he'd like to save almost 5% of his client acquisition costs, he might consider collaborating with maybe not only the plumber, but I'm sure there's a very pretty substantial, sizable residential HVAC contractor who owns a lion's share of the market.
Yeah.
Those gentlemen had the same assets the day before. Yeah, it's just folks don't think about combining because they've been brainwashed into to grow you have to take more risk, hire more people, or run more ads. I'm like, but that's an option. Everybody else is doing that too. I don't really like the thing. My mom used to ask me, are you going to jump off the cliff if all your friends jump off of it? I took that to heart.
Man, I was looking for that saying the other day, Chad, and I butchered it. I was like, jump off of something, and I'm so happy you brought that back. The person didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah, it is.
I think it's a bridge.
I was like,
if all your friends are going to jump off a bridge, you're going to do it too. I'm like, darn, I hadn't really thought about the bridge thing. So I'll tell you, one thing to help everybody that's listening, there's 3 types of categories that can define all the assets that you have. You can even export your P&L and map every category on your P&L to these 3 types of assets. And so I'm going to give you a formula, a really, really simple formula, but profound and very powerful. Vision is one type of category. You know how to do something better than someone else. You have a vision for it. Capabilities is the second type. So you're able to do something. I own a piano is different than being Elton John. I might own a piano, therefore I have a capability. It's a piano. But Elton John has a different ability. Both of those would fall into the capability column. You may own a bunch of skid steers because you're a landscaper. You may also have people that do tax prep. Those are abilities. They would fall under the capability column. So you have vision, capabilities, and the last one is reach. So everyone listening to this has trusted relationships. Most entrepreneurs that I meet do not think that they have very much reach. But as it turns out, they may be sending out 3,000 invoices a month. I'll give you another example right quick of reach. This is an excellent gentleman down in South Carolina. He owned a big waste company. They would come to your house and get your trash or your recycling. Whenever we worked with him, we figured out that there was a few high-end restaurants that were owned by another entrepreneur in South Carolina, Augusta specifically. Well, for the gentleman that owns the restaurant, food cost is about 1/5 the total of your bill. So for him to give away a $25 gift card would really cost him $5. And most people don't come to eat by themselves. So what we did is combine a $25 gift card with the 3,000 invoices that the gentleman was sending out. And for anybody who redeemed the gift card, the waste management picked up $10. It was wildly successful because the waste management guy was really good. He's sending you a $25 gift card.
Talk about, come on. So that's such a win. Such a win.
Yeah, so if you want to be an ultra high-performing entrepreneur versus a high-performing entrepreneur versus a entrepreneur that doesn't perform that high, it's the power in one word, combine.
I want to spend some of the time that we have left here talking about your book. So just add a 0. Like, where do you want to start with this? Like, because this is awesome. And in the book, I'm guessing that I have not read it yet, but I see there's an audiobook version of this. Yeah, I'll do the audiobook for sure. I'm traveling right now, and I love listening to audiobooks, and I think I just found my next one because you blew my mind with all these examples. I'm shocked. Like, it's so genius. And you can just see immediately, like, how both of these people win. Like, it's amazing. It's such a win-win. And when you think about cost of printing cards, like nothing. Yeah. Oh, and the client wins, so your customer's happy. How many invoices have I received that I got a $25 gift card, Chad, in my life? 0.
Exactly. 0.
How many invoices have I paid in my life? More than I care to admit.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'll give you a little insight as well. In the United States, you can send 6 pieces of paper for the same exact postage as 1 piece of paper. So even the postage didn't cost him anything more. He just dropped a gift card in there and sent them out. These are things that you're already doing today. You never consider combining with somebody else because you've been trained to be a go-getter and you've been trained to compete. So just add a 0 was your question.
Just add a 0. Let's get into the book. So let's go. First off, USA Today bestseller. Congrats. So tell me, what inspired this?
Yeah, so just at a 0, after working with entrepreneurs for so many years in all these different businesses, I would be categorized as the industry type guy. So the phone guy or the construction guy or the wireless guy. And I was none of that. I think just a little bit different. And it took me a while to figure it out because I didn't attend the regular college. I went for 3 months, but I'd already started 3 businesses. So just at a zero is truly to make you, the only thing that's holding anybody back that's listening to this is your thinking and your vision. You are holding yourself back. And I'll give you an example of that. There's something on your calendar. You've been to this meeting before, or maybe it's something personal. And if I were to ask you, before you even go on that event, give me a rating. 0 is really not great, and 10 is the best ever. And most people are going to give you, that's going to probably be a 7. Maybe it's an 8. It's going to be a really good meeting. That's okay, great. If it's going to be an 8, tell me what would we have to do if it needed to be an 80? Like, this meeting's got to be really serious. And at first they said, I don't even know. And then all of a sudden, because I asked them the question, how are you going to make this meeting 10 times more effective or 10 times bigger an outcome before you even go do it? I've never had a person ask that question to. They can come up with 1 to 5 things. Most of them come up with 3 of ways to make the meeting better for themselves by just implementing one small strategy. Go ahead and grade it, add a 0 to it, and figure out how you can take action today to make it a much, much better outcome than it would have been anyway. Additionally, for the entrepreneurs that are listening, if you were to export your P&L, put it on the whiteboard, or on, obviously, whiteboards are not really as prevalent as they used to. Put it on the screen, and then
I still got a whiteboard. It's okay. Go ahead.
So if you'd like to write your revenue up there and just add a 0 to it, and then go back and sit down and let your leadership team tell you all the reasons that we can't do that. If you were to add a 0 to every column on your every number on your P&L, your team would tell you why that couldn't be true. Now, one thing may be, if we do grow our revenue by that, we're not going to spend that much in real estate or uniforms or janitorial. It's like, with good graces, that means we'll make more money, right? So our revenue went up, but our expenses didn't. That's a win. You just start going down each line item as an example, and they'll tell you why it couldn't be. And then what I'd encourage you to do is walk up to that whiteboard, and for the reason they told you can't grow your revenue by 10, write down the power of this one word, which is unless. And I'll tell you, this is where it's really hard for your real entrepreneurs, because we're the ones who have to come up with the ideas. You got to sit on your hands. But if you give your leadership team just a couple moments, and sometimes it feels like 2 eternities, if you give them about 1.5 to 2 minutes, they will start filling in to the right side of that unless. And I'm not saying that they're going to give you the exact roadmap to grow your business by 10 times, but in this scenario, you were just doing a P&L review. Now look at what opportunities you have to grow your business, and it was all in their brains. We just hadn't asked them the question yet. So the just add a 0, this packed full of methodology, similar to what you've heard on the call. Anything I've ever done is super simple because I'm not that smart. I like patterns, and I like to do things that others aren't doing. I'm not a me-too guy.
Man, Chad, this has been great. This has been absolutely great. I love your examples, and you got me thinking. I'm like, this is definitely my next audio book. I got a couple flights coming up, and you're going to be in my ear, Chad. Did you read the audio book, by the way, or do you have somebody else to?
No. I read all my own books. I just finished a new one.
That's great. So I'm going to be hanging out with you, Chad. That's why I asked. I'm going to be hanging out with you. That's awesome. That being said, if somebody's listening or watching this, and if they want to learn more about SeedSpark or to grab a copy of your book, of course, like, how do people connect? How do they keep the conversation going?
Yeah, no problem. You can find a lot of information at seedspark.com as well. We are quite active on LinkedIn under Chad T. Jenkins on LinkedIn. You can find all the books and a lot of information about the collab, and start doing it yourself. Start adding a 0.
Love it. For everybody listening, just so you know, we're definitely going to put some links in the show notes so that you can just head right on over, connect with Chad and his team, and of course, grab a copy of that book. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Yes, you heard me right. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Chad, man, I'm looking forward to adding some zeros around here. Thanks for coming on, and I know my audience is looking forward to it too, so thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. You guys have a great day. Thanks for the time.